guys, in this video we're going to go over how to find the line of best fit and answer questions with the line of best fit. So line of best fit and linear regression mean the same thing. So if you see a question and the question says find the linear regression model, it means the same thing as line of best fit. So the first thing that we want to do in the calculator is push the button that says mode. And you have to forgive me, I'm using my phone because I don't have a calculator. But this is, my screen looks like the same thing as the calculator. So I push the button that says mode, and I'm going to go down to where it says stat diagnostics. And so just use the arrow, go all the way down to where it says stat diagnostics, and go over to the word on, and then push enter. And then on will have that black spot around it. And what that's going to do is pull up an extra number, and it's going to have, like it says R, one of them will say R squared and one of them will say R. And that is called the correlation coefficient. So I don't have any questions like that today, but if you get a question with a table and it asks you for the correlation coefficient, this is the directions you follow to get it to show up on your screen. All right, so we have a table of values here. And first of all, a table of values, even if I didn't see the directions, if I saw a table like this, I would probably go ahead and get ready to use my calculator and do line of best fit. Because line of best fit can give us the slope, which is also the rate of change. Line of best fit can tell us the Y-intercept. We can use it to look at the scatter plot and see if it's linear, quadratic, or exponential. So anytime you see a table, get ready to push the button on the calculator that says stat. So this is telling us the X is the years since 1930, and the Y column is the life expectancy at birth. Anytime you get a table like this, the first column is the X and the second column is the Y. All right, so number one wants us to write a linear regression equation, interpret the meaning of the slope and the Y-intercept. So we have to get this table into our calculator. So I'm going to push the button that says stat. I'm going to push enter. My calculator is going to say edit. And then that's how I'm going to type the data into L1 and L2. So L1 is the X's, L2 is the Y's. Now, I've already done that because I needed to save some time. It's hard to do on my phone. So I'm going to push the button that says stat. See how it says edit right there? I'm going to just hit enter. And then L1 and L2, I'm just going to type in the numbers that they gave me. Go very slow, be very careful. Triple check, because even one little number is off. It's going to mess up your whole entire thing. So once your data is in, you're going to push stat again, but this time arrow over to the right until, I'll fix this on your printout. It's supposed to say calc. We're going to go to where it says calc. And then choose option 4. It's going to say linreg, and it's going to say ax plus b, and that's basically the mx plus b. Where we usually see y equals mx plus b, they just use the letter a instead. So I'm going to push stat again. I'm going to arrow over to the right, see where it says calc, and then option 4, linear regression. So I'm just going to go down to 4 and hit enter. All right, before I hit enter again, these directions are here. I'm going to go to where it says store reg. I'm going to push alpha trace, and I'm going to choose Y1. And what that's going to do is it's going to put my data right into the graph, so I don't have to do any extra steps. So I'm going to go down to where it says store the regression equation. I'm going to hit alpha trace and see how it says Y1. I'm just going to push enter. And then I'm going to go down and hit enter where it says calculate. So that's my line of best fit. I'm going to have to replace the A with what it tells me A equals, and I'm going to have to replace the B. But see that r squared and the r, those are the correlation coefficients. You want it to be close to 1. And so this is good. 0.98 is very close to 1. So if it said like, is it a good correlation? Yes, because 0.98 is good to 1. That's how you use the r number. So I'm just going to write, I'll round that to 0.21, and I'm going to round the b to 62.7. And I'm just going to replace the a with 0.21 and the b with 62.7 and write it like y equals mx plus b. So 0.21x plus 62.7. All right, interpret the meaning of the slope and the y-intercept. First of all, this is the slope. And I have another video where I go over interpreting the slope and the y-intercept and what keywords you should be using or what keywords to look for when you do multiple choice. So the slope is telling you how much the y is increasing or decreasing by. So because this is positive, that means it's an increase of 0.21. The y stands for years of life expectancy. So I would look for a multiple choice option, first of all, that said 0.21 is the slope. And then some word like the life expectancy is increasing by 0.21 each year. Something like that. All right, the y-intercept is the b. And I am going to look for words that say that this is the starting number, the starting amount. And since if I look at my table, my story says that this is years since 1930, that means my story starts at 1930. So that's related to my y-intercept. So that would be my life expectancy in 1930 at the beginning of this whole thing. All right, so all of that, interpreting the slope, finding the y-intercept, I was able to get that information by just doing stat, enter, type the data in, stat, go over to calc, and choosing option 4. That was able to give me my equation. All right, now we want to actually use the equation to do something. So use the model to predict the life expectancy of someone born in 2015. First of all, my X's represent the years since 1930, so I don't want to use a date. I want to subtract 2015 minus 1930 so that I can figure out the number of years that it's been. So I did that already, and it gave me that that's 85 years. So 85 is my X. All right, so I think it's helpful to look at your scatter plot. And so I'm going to press the button that says zoom, and I'm going to choose option 9. And then after I do that, I probably don't need to actually push graph, but if I push graph, it should be right there. And this is all happening. I'm able to do all of this because I chose Y1 up at my last step. So I'm going to push zoom. I'm going to scroll down or push 9. Oh, I forgot a step. I'm going to add this to your directions. There's a step before this that I forgot. We're going to push second y equals, and then just push enter on the one that's the scatter plot. I'll add this to your directions so that you don't have to worry about writing that down. This will already be there on your paper. So second y equals, I'm just going to push enter. And I'm just going to push enter again. And you see how that one is blurred and that looks like just a bunch of dots? So that's a scatter plot. Fun fact, if you have something where it wants you to make a box plot or a histogram, those are options in here also. So now, I've pushed second y equals, hit enter on. Now I can push zoom 9 and it'll show right up. So you can see my line. You can see all the points from my scatter plot. Those points are all from my table. And now what you can do is you can just keep pushing trace. And once you get on the line, you can just kind of use the arrows to go up and down the line. And then you see, I know it's kind of hard to tell on my screen here because it's my phone, so there's a glare. But as I'm pushing trace and I'm using the arrows to move up and down the line, it's telling me what my X is equal to, and it's telling me what my Y is equal to. So I can use that to help me out. But a quicker way to kind of go through the numbers is to hit second graph so that I can look at the table. Second graph and look at the table. Now, I already scrolled all the way down to where my X says 85. And it might take a little while, but you know what? The answer is on the table. So if it takes you a little while to just scroll up and down until you find it, then just deal with it because it's too easy to get it wrong. Like, don't give up now. We did everything that we're supposed to do. Now I just have to have the patience to go through my table. So 2015 is 85 years. So if I look at 85 on my table, it says 80.36. So that's my answer. My table of values is making my predictions for me because I put my equation into Y1. So that means my graph and my table are going to match my line of best fit. And if I push Y equals, see, there's my equation, but this is all the decimals, not the ones, I rounded it on my paper because I'm not going to write 20 decimals on my paper. But there's my line of best fit. So second graph, I went to 85 on my table, 80.36. So you would expect somebody born in 2015 to have a life expectancy of 80.36 years. All right, so for each problem, the table is going to change, but these steps are going to be the same steps for every line of best fit problem. And if you're having trouble interpreting the slope or interpreting the Y-intercept, then watch the other video to help you.